Hello. Okay, it has been a hot minute since I have been able to make the time to give some tips, and I didn't really have any that I could think of, but I just got back from an Alaskan cruise, so it was not a Disney, though I will admit I wish I had gone on Disney. The food is so much better on a Disney cruise than any other ship, and it's not their fault because Disney, that's a deluxe cruise. You're going to get really good food. So let's dive into it, and I'll let you know what and where and how and all the things and all the tips that I can hopefully help you with and things that I learned. So we did a 7-day Alaskan cruise on Royal Caribbean. We did get a balcony room, not an insider. And we ended up, because we love our children and because they are teenagers and tall and large, we split the king bed so you can have it together or separate. So we split the king bed, and those two slept on the beds that were actual beds. And then my husband and I slept on the sofa bed that was like sleeping on a brick. So we ended up, you can get like these, I don't know, toppers, like little foam toppers. You can request them in advance by emailing like Royal Caribbean and saying, I'd like this in my room. And our room attendant could tell that we were uncomfortable because we had like pillows lining the bed too. So she got another set and put them on there. And then we actually used, I hope that none of you have to do this, but we knew if our kids slept in the same bed, they'd kill each other. So we also found 2 really big quilts underneath both of the beds. And so we put those down as well. So we found that, of course, the last night. So the last night we had a good night's sleep, but you're half dead on a cruise, really. You just are playing so hard. So it was good. And the balcony, 100% worth it. Like, oh my gosh, my daughter saw a whale. Like, it's so nice to just have your own spot to just go outside. My daughter and I did get pretty sick one of the days, the sea day going there. And normally what I would do to help combat that is go out on the main deck. Well, out on the main deck on Alaskan cruise is frigid and normally rainy. So there's something great about being able to go on your balcony because the top is covered, the sides are covered, so it's just open in the front. It's still chilly, but you're not getting rained on, and it's so nice. It's super nice. Okay, here are some of my tips and tricks for the trip. Keep your Sea Pass card. So this is what they look like. I will grab mine. Oh my gosh, I'm old. So looks like this. Keep that with you at every single port, and then you will want to have with you also your ID. We took our passports as well, just in case, especially in Canada, because we didn't want to accidentally be told, no, you can't get back on the ship. So my son drives, so he brought his driver's license. My husband and I brought our driver's license. Bring that with you. Pay attention to Windjammer buffet times. That's their main buffet, because sometimes like we would get involved in something or be shopping or doing something else, and then we wouldn't be able to go to the Windjammer for one of the meal times. So there are meal times that's open and meal times that's closed. We kept sleeping in, and I really wanted breakfast. And so I kept missing breakfast. They do have a restaurant that you can go to for, I think, breakfast. And then you can order food, all included. But just know, if you miss the Windjammer buffet times, you might get stuck with the pizza and sandwiches area. My kids loved it. They wanted pizza every single meal, but my husband and I needed a little more variety. The random cafes throughout the ship will have some of the buffet items. I know there was like a theater at one end that had a little tiny buffet that had buffet items and desserts and like sandwiches and stuff. Their fancy nights, not that fancy. They sent out an email that's like, hey, we're gonna have an 80s night and a white night, like you all dress in white night. And they weren't very they didn't make a big deal out about it. And I was like, oh, I'm in, because I'm used to Disney and being like, yeah, I want to be a part of it. But like, it wasn't the only one that was really broadcast was the dress in white. And the only time they broadcast it was at the show. So it was kind of like, not that many people did it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Like my daughter brought an 80s outfit. She didn't even wear it because they didn't announce it. And when you walked around, nobody was dressed in 80s. Like I brought my like pink ladies jacket because they did like a 50s, 60s night. So I was kind of bummed. I'm a weirdo. I want to dress up, obviously. I wish I had brought shorts and a t-shirt for when we went to Canada because it was hot. It was in the 90s. And as well as Seattle. Seattle was warm. Like I ended up buying this random Alaska t-shirt just because I was sweating to death. It was so hot. And we'd planned for warmer or cold weather. Like that's your Alaska trip. It's chilly. It feels like it was such a good trip. It feels like Christmas in the middle of summer. Like all the massive trees. Like Utah has beautiful mountains. Alaska has monster mountains. They are so flipping big. And you see like this little tiny dot on the mountain and it's a mountain goat. And you're just like, what in the world? So I do recommend the binoculars. Okay, I'm going to go through a little bit port by port and just kind of give you ideas of how to help with that. So Sitka was our first stop, and realize that a lot of these ports you can only get to by ship or by plane. They aren't something you can necessarily drive to. So Sitka had a free bus shuttle from the cruise port to Centennial Square. Centennial Square is like their main downtown area. Very small little downtown area, super cute. They had shops, a really cool church, like I think it was Russian Orthodox, and we went inside that. It was cool. Their Centennial Square area is like literally just for cruise people because they just have an information desk and they're like, we have Wi-Fi, and there's like 6 people just sitting at a table and like hundreds of people just storming in, and they're like, oh, we don't know what to do. Help us. How do we do this excursion? Blah, blah. So we wanted to do a hike on that trip, on that port. So we used Baranoff taxi service. And that was, I literally Googled, and I actually Googled in advance because I was worried that I wouldn't have Wi-Fi. So I had it in my phone, Sitka taxi service. It was about a 20-minute drive to the hike that we went to. And we scheduled it with the taxi driver to come and pick us up when we were done with the hike. And he said he'd wait 15 minutes, but we were early coming back. So when we called him, it took about, he was like, I'm 45 minutes out. So we just kind of putted around and hung out at the shops and that sort of thing for 45 minutes because he's like, I'm really busy. And he was the only one that answered. There was other taxi services that we tried. So we were like, this is what we're using. I think it was $60 each way. And it was about a 20-minute drive to the trailhead that we wanted to do this hike. We hiked Herring Cove Trail, and it was about 3 miles round trip. It was stunning. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it made me think of like that green mossy scene in Twilight when they're in the forest together. Everything was green. It was so lush and wet and big black rocks and just beautiful. As you're hiking along the way, you'll look to your right and see a huge waterfall. My husband tried to hike over to it and it didn't work out for him. He was like, I can't get over there. But beautiful. Your destination when you get to the bottom is a big, huge lake. And there's kind of like a fork in the road and you can go either way. I would go to the left, and then they have like at the bottom of the hill, they have like a little, I don't want to call it a marina, but like a little dock, like a little alcove, because it's so dense with the forest that you can't really see the lake as well. So you go down there and it just opens up, and then you see this huge mountain, and it's just beautiful. And there's fish jumping around, and you're just like I felt like someone that was getting dropped off in the Alone TV series where they just drop them off in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody there. It was a really well-marked trail, so we were okay. You can hike. I think if you went to the right or if you went to the left, you could hike all the way around the lake. We didn't have time for that. We didn't want to like miss the ship. We wanted to get back on time. We're really concerned about that. It's the Herring Cove hike, and it's also the Totem Trail. Oh, there is back in the downtown Sitka, there's a smaller trails like the Totem Trail, and you can just go see all the totem poles, or there's like a river trail that's also back in town. Really close to everything. But this hike I really wanted to do. I knew my son he's a big hiker. He just hiked rim to rim in Grand Canyon. So I knew he'd want to do something a little more like like with, I guess, rewards, like the big lake and the waterfall. But I also have my daughter, who's not a big hiker. I didn't want her to die. I didn't bring good hiking shoes. I just brought my sneakers. So it was a little more slippery. And we all fell at one point or another. The guy that drove us from the cruise ship to Sitka said he's like, it's been a month since I've seen the sun. And it was a sunny, dry day. It was the perfect day for us to go hiking. I think if it had been raining, it would have been real sketch. Because like there was one point my daughter slipped and fell and like went down the hill. And we're like, ah! And she was okay. And she wouldn't have gone far, but it was just like it's slippery. It's a very wet place. So take that into consideration. My husband found a really cool fur store. They had reindeer rugs. But yeah, Sitka was great. I thought they did a good job. It is a very small little town. Okay, so that was our first stop. Our second stop was Skagway. Skagway was probably the coldest place. It was so windy because it's just two canyons, like not two canyons, two big, huge mountains, and you're in the middle of a canyon. And it was a mining town. So it looks like an old-fashioned, like Western mining town. Like there's just two sides of a road just covered with shops. Super windy, super chilly. It was about a 10-minute walk from the port to the town. You can order somebody, I think, to come and pick you up and drive you there, but we just walked. It was a nice walk. It's the town is the only thing that's really there. It had a really good fudge spot, you could buy fudge. We did go to the really popular pizza place that was right there. It was a really long wait and the food wasn't super good. It was like really salty pizza, which was weird. Plus it was a former saloon, so there was literally naked pictures of women all over the walls and bedpans as decor. So that was really kind of gross. They did have popular scones that we didn't get that looked really good. People were eating those. What our main thing was that took up most of our time was the train ride. Oh my gosh, that was worth literally every penny. It was insane. So mining town, they needed to go up and over the mountains all the time. So this was like the trail that they went on, and then they put in a railroad, and now it's just for tourists. But it goes to the top of these monster mountains. And because you're going in the summer, all of the snow, and this happened the entire time, all of the snow that's on top of the mountains is melting. So it's creating these monster waterfalls from the top of the mountains all the way down to the ocean. And it's just like, my whole phone is full of waterfall, 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 like just beautiful, insane views. And the amazing thing about this train ride, I think it takes a couple of hours. The seats aren't bad. They're not uncomfortable. I would recommend, I feel like sitting on the left was the best idea just because the tour guide is telling you things over the intercom and letting you know where you are, what you're seeing on the way up. I feel like we were on that side. Yeah, on the left side. On the left side. And that way she's telling you as you go, because when you turn around and come back down, she doesn't tell you the same things again. So the people that were on the right are now on the side where they get to see the beautiful views, and they're not getting all that extra information. So that's what I'd say. Sit on the left. They will give you free waters. There's a bathroom. There is like a platform on the back side, and I think on the front side of every trail car. So you're outside, which is chillier, but then you're outside. And my husband and son and father-in-law spent the whole time out there. And I think my son would have been bored if he hadn't had the chance to be out in it. Because there's one point where you go over a rickety bridge and it's 1,000-foot drop. And he's just like, oh, like it was his jam. He likes a little adrenaline going on. So super cool, crazy high up. You are at you go to the top of the mountain where there's like Summit Lake. And at some point we went into Canada and then came back, like so beautiful. Just, I can't get over how pretty that was. Yeah, do it. We then, on our third day, we had 2 different stops. So you had to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to Glacier Mendenhall. So there's a big glacier. So we all woke up at 5 and went and looked at it and took pictures, and then we went back to bed for a couple hours because we didn't get to Juneau until later in the afternoon. But it was so interesting because I feel like we got better pictures of the glacier when we took our bus to go to whale watching in Juneau. Like, there was many opportunities for us to take a picture of the glacier that were probably a little better. Like, the guy that drove us around in Juneau in the boat to see the whales took us to the glacier to take a picture. So I'm not sure. I feel like once we got to all our destinations, we were really slow and just taking our time to get to those places. I think that's why none of us got sick after that. But yeah, just something to think about. It was chilly. The chilliest of the chilly was when we went in the boat to see the glacier. I was cold. And it like made me think I needed to be really, really warm for all the, like really dress warm for the other places. I didn't need to. If you're going to Juneau, you can get a closer excursion of the Mendenhall Glacier, like hike up to it. Or some people will take a helicopter and land on a glacier. We didn't want to do that. That sounded cold and slippery. But we did go to Juneau. We did go whale watching and did the excursion there. We booked it through Alaska Shore Excursions, not through the ship. They picked us up at our designated time, so we had to make a reservation in advance. I highly recommend with any excursion that you do it in advance. Like the train ride in Skagway sold out. So we were really glad that we did it so that we'd have time to do it. I don't know why my hair's bugging me. It was a short, very short walk from the cruise ship to where we were supposed to meet up for our whale watching. And we were a little bit earlier than we were supposed to be. Like the ship landed earlier. So just kind of like walking through, there's bathrooms. And then just to the right was a tent where we were supposed to meet for the whale watching. And then they have like, again, a whole row of shops that you can go shopping for souvenirs. There's a really, really big shop in Juneau where they have a lot of nice clothes, a lot of like jewelry, like a ton of souvenirs. So we stopped there and got a whole bunch of stuff that we ended up taking with us. I overdressed and was immediately like regretting my decisions. Like I was wearing thermals because I was like, we're going to be on the water in a small boat. We're going to freeze our butt off. It was not cold on the boat. Let me repeat that. The whale watching was not cold. You go underneath that's covered in these nice cushy chairs with closed windows. They go fast when you're underneath. And then once they see you well, they turn the boat off or put it in idle, and then you can go back up onto the top. And it would be the same temperature as if I was walking around in town. Like it wasn't cold. So I would just say, wear a nice jacket. Like they say, wear layers, but I did not need the thermals, the super thick wool socks, the waterproof fuzzy shoes. Like I was way overdressed, and I took it all off before we even got on the whale boat because I was going to die. So the weird thing is they didn't have bathrooms on the boat. And well, they did, but they didn't flush. And they didn't recommend using the bathrooms in the port area for the whale watching boats. So if you need to go to the bathroom, do it on the cruise ship or do it right when you get off the cruise ship. I mean, you're only going to be whale watching for a couple of hours, but like if you need to go to the bathroom, use it before. Very informative naturalists. They knew all the whales by name. We saw whales before we even left the shipping yard. There were some very concerned kayakers. We saw 2 whales out of the harbor. One was a calf, and then another one was a full-grown male, and it probably breached like 20 times. The massive full-grown male just flapping his tail around. He kept laying on his back and just waving at us, like flapping his fins. It was insane. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it brought me to tears. This whale was there to make our day, and it worked. And it's interesting because we've been going through some hard things in my family, so that was like, thank you. So the Juneau whale watching, highly recommend. It was amazing. Our next place was Victoria, British Columbia. It was warm there, 90 degrees, beach town, super cool looking, like all the Victorian homes. They said it was a 25-minute walk to downtown. It was more like a 45-minute walk to downtown. And we only had like 4 hours there. So everybody ended up, and it was $15 per person for a round trip bus ride to downtown Victoria. So we all get in line, all get on different buses, and then they take us down there and they're like, be back here this time. Well, then people start lining up to leave. So it was just kind of like, It was a very quick trip. Obviously, Colombia had a lot more going on. They had, again, rows of shops, so we shopped around. We're big into magnets and keychains and ornaments, so we got something from every place. And then like shirts and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, they had good stuff. There's a really cool Irish shop there where Hennessy, Irish shop. It was fun. And I think my father-in-law got some rings and stuff there. He thought it was good. Okay. Food was okay on Royal. It was better than Carnival. Sorry. Not even close to Disney food. Maybe it's because I have super picky eaters, but this was the first time my in-laws had been on a cruise since we did a Disney cruise. It was still good. Like, don't get me wrong. There were still good parts of it, but I don't know. I felt like the dining at night was way better than like the buffets. At one point, they did have a chocolate fountain and ice cream sundaes, which was super fun. They also had like a hot chocolate day. Like, they did like certain things, like the Bon Voyage day, the last day, they had a huge cake. We were on the Quantum of the Seas ship, and it had a covered pool, which was always packed. My my daughter and I did do the outdoor hot tub. We did do the flow rider, which is like outdoor surfing. I recommend doing that on the first day. Like, put your swimsuit in your little backpack because they're going to take forever to put it'll be a while once you get on the ship. I'm hoping you get on the ship as soon, like the earliest that you can get on the ship, book it so that you can go and start eating and doing all the things. So I recommend keeping in your backpack that you're taking with you, like your passports, all your information, and a swimsuit for everybody. So that way you can go and do the flow rider. Because at the rest of the time, you do not want to do the flow rider. It is raining and cold outside. We never saw rain in any of the ports. We only saw rain when we were on the ship. So think about that. Me and my husband, who are over 40, got beat up by that flow rider. Like blood. It was great. It was worth it to get a balcony. I do recommend the port left side. It had really good views. So if you're signing up for a balcony, make sure it's on the port left side. We did eventually use our binoculars. We were glad that we did, because I was like, this is a waste of money. We didn't use them for a couple of days, and then we used them all the time. We didn't need water shoe covers. People recommended that. We didn't need sleeping masks. We had really thick drapes so we could cover our balcony windows. There's tons of storage in the room. Oh, it was so nice. We had like 8 luggages and we just stuffed them under the bed. I do recommend, it took about an hour. Everybody else was playing around while Mom was unpacking, and I unpacked everything, gave everybody a section in the closets and that sort of thing, and drawers, and that was their spot. Because when you're in the ship and it's moving and you're trying to sleep, the hangers will just bang and be super loud. But if you hang everything up and unpack completely, it just makes it so much easier to just unpack completely, stuff your luggage underneath your bed. You're good to go. They will give you ginger ale and green apples all over the ship if you need. Like, we use C-bands. I have this like oil behind my ears that I use for motion sickness, and then ginger bites. They had in their little store, they have kind of an esplanade in the middle that has like little shops. And they had in the alcohol port place, they had like a little grocery store, and it had those little things, the little oil drops. And I'm just going to buy fresh ones because mine's like 5 years old. They did have Band-Aids and tampons and stuff like that. A lot of your packages have, like when you book for a Royal Caribbean cruise, they have like $500 onboard credit. They will use that first. So like we bought the pop package in advance, which is like a Royal Caribbean cup that the machine recognizes that you have it. So you don't have to like have a bracelet and go up to people all the time and get it refilled. My husband likes soda pop. So that's what you had to do. And then, or if you're like in main dining, you show your card and it has like a dot on it, like this kind of card. And then you can get your pop. We used our $500 also on, they have like made to fit jewelry. So my daughter and I got, just in that Esplanade again, like bracelets and necklaces and stuff. And most of the jewelry there is very overpriced. So realize that. It's tax and duty free. It's just still really expensive. And then obviously towards the end of the cruise, things start going on sale. We did lots of raffles. The shows were pretty good, but I didn't feel like Royal was very kid friendly. Some of the shows the kids weren't even allowed to go to, like the main shows. They said, nope, this is for 18 and plus. And I was like, oh, what are my kids supposed to do? This, like, you know, you're used to a cruise where you go eat and then you go to a show. So I think it happened once or twice. They're like, nope, 18 and plus. I'm like, okay, my babies. I want them to be able to do something fun. But they found other stuff. They had like a really fun sports area that they also turned into laser tag. And I think my son and daughter were obsessed with playing like paddleboard. But some of the shows were a little sexy in my opinion. Like they had the sequins and feathers, and the girls were wearing thongs and bras, and that was it. And the guys were half naked too. And I'm like, all right, this is where we're at. Like Kenzie would look, my daughter would look at me like, why is she just take off all her clothes? I'm like, it's okay. I don't know. Yeah. It was hard to get pool deck ice cream. I know that sounds dumb, but my kids want to eat their weight in ice cream when they're there. And it was like closed if it was too cold, or they were doing work on it. I think probably in the time that we were there, we maybe got like 3 ice cream cones, and you have to wait in line for it. So it's kind of a bummer. I really like the ice cream. I said the hot chocolate. They also have like port souvenir shops on their ship that are very similar. We didn't end up using our ponchos, even though we did pack them. I don't know. I just kind of had a hard time with the activities as well. They weren't always very relatable. A lot of bingo that we were like, I don't want to play bingo. They do run that ship like a well-oiled machine. They're very sufficient. Their staff is phenomenal, very hardworking, clean, impressively clean. Our room was clean daily, even when we took forever to get out of it, especially like our sick day that she was like, I just got to clean it before you go to dinner. And so, I mean, like she was great. She was so good. And obviously she got us the extra cushions on our bed. Like she was aware of our lack of comfort. I do recommend leaving room for souvenirs. We do have like the suction bags that we have from Amazon, like suck the air out. I think that's in my Amazon purchase list. I can include the links to help, but absolutely necessary to have those because you are all packing like jackets and coats and all that stuff. And it's like, ugh, that's so much stuff. And it really helped because we did buy a rug and we had to smash it in there and suction all the air out. Fair amount of walking, wear some good shoes. Get to the shows early because they do have limited seating. Know where to go and when. They are willing to accommodate for you, but just be aware. The cruise will take your luggage to your room and then leave it outside your door. And I told you about the empty spaces and the backpack. I like to bring hanging magnets, like that are just like a little hook, and that because all the walls in a cruise ship are magnetic. And it's just so nice, especially like if you go swimming, you can hang up because don't put anything on your balcony or it'll just blow away. So we would hang up the kids' swimsuits. I would hang up my hat because I would always wear a hat if we were in port because I'm trying to avoid skin cancer. Like hang up lanyards, hang up purses. So, and I can include leak for that too, but I feel like those are a game changer for any cruise ship because then you can just hang things up on the wall if you need to. The time changes often on Alaskan cruise, and it will throw you off because your phone will not match the time until you get to port. So you're like trying to get on time to something and then you can't. So always look at the time in the Royal Caribbean app because it changed, I think, 3 or 4 times throughout because you're going to different time zones. Do a wake-up call in your room, not from your phone. So that's what we did, because then it will be correct. Your phone will sync up once you get to port, but until then it could screw everything up and make you late for your excursions, which is bad. It is an efficient wake-up call. They'll call twice. So you can, even if you pick it up, they'll call back again, just to make sure you actually wake up. Put the sleeping off an adventure magnet on the outside of your door. Oh, so they have like a little sign, like do not disturb, but there says sleeping off an adventure. If you are at a sea day the next day and want to sleep in, stick that on the outside of your door. They're coming in at 7 a.m. to clean your room. My in-laws were like, "Ah, we're still asleep." So just like put that on the outside of your door if you know you're going to sleep in a little bit. If you are in a hurry to get to your airport like we were, I think our flight was at like 11:30 and we got off the cruise ship at like 9, I want to say, maybe even 8:30. keep your luggage with you. They will take it for you and take it down to the bottom and you can pick it up there. Then you don't have to drag your luggage everywhere, but we kept it with us. You can request extra pillows, but they're different from the room pillows. They're more form, like a foam, I don't know, weird. They weren't as comfortable as the actual pillows. There is a bus service at the end of the cruise that will take you back to the airport. It was cheaper than an Uber, but a bit slower because it drops you off at the rental parking lot, so you have a bit of a walk. But we felt like it was worth it because it was cheaper. When we were at ports, I would carry things like snacks, water, passports, and of course, your SeaPass card, sunglasses, and hat. People recommended taking bug spray. We didn't end up using it. I did feel like we needed it maybe towards the end of our hike, but otherwise it wasn't too bad. Maybe it's because it wasn't raining. This is a lot of information. 30 minutes worth. I hope that it helped you. It was an amazing trip. So worth every penny. Like, I can't even tell you, like, the memories that we created on that trip. I would give anything for those. So so amazing and beautiful and fun. Just like some really good core memories with our kids and my in-laws. Like, highly recommend it. Everybody's like, how was it? I was like amazing trip. Like the most amazing trip. I can't say enough. Like, it was worth every penny. It was just beautiful and stunning. And we saw so much wildlife and like the mountains. Like, you just sit there and you're like, postcard, postcard, postcard. Like, it was a full moon on our last night. So we just sat on the balcony and just looked at the full moon over the ocean. Like, how do you like process this? This is like so much beauty in one location. So highly recommend it. Hopefully this helped you. If you have questions, let me know. Like and subscribe.